Okay, so the moment of truth, it's going to be the main problem every time. They really need to come up with a better way to secure this to the top of it. Well, good morning. It's a beautiful day. It's going to be like 80 something today, partly cloudy. Probably have some storms later, but that's Missouri. Well, I'm back on pest control stuff. I'm here with Josh's truck. I had to run up to Omaha last week or 2 weeks ago, get that tailgate so we could have it rewrapped. Just got that thing back from the wrap shop, and I'm headed in to look at some backpacks. All right, with the weather warming up, the guys have brought in a bunch of backpacks that are gonna need some love. So Chance brought me a couple, the red ones. Guys are getting ready to start spraying with 2 different backpacks because we're gonna be power spraying. And then LJ, one of our guys here, brought me this one with a black cap. A lot of times in the summer, we're gonna use non-repellent for ants. And so we've got separate backpacks for those. In the wintertime, we don't use them that much, so they sit and they get broken, and the guys neglect them. So that's what we're looking at with this one. All right, number one, I'm getting my workbench ready. We're gonna start with LJ's backpack. I can already tell a couple of things. So here we've got a busted wand handle. It may not be busted, but it's missing the bracket and the trigger. So we'll look at that. The hose apparently is leaking here. Everything else looks like it's there. It is dripping down here somewhere. Maybe it's coming out of the hose. So we'll take a look at that. First, the guys have cleaned all these out, so I don't need gloves. He's flushed it. I'm gonna put some regular water in it and just test it real quick and see what it's doing or not doing. So most of the time the guys are gonna tell me what's wrong with them. All I got from LJ was, it's spring, so I'm gonna need my non-repellent backpack. And it's windy. It probably will be severe weather today because it's windy. All right, so he's gonna have to clean this, but for now, I just wanna test it and see what's going on. Okay, so I've got no pressure. So I'm thinking that his piston has come disconnected from the seal. It looks like it's leaking somewhere. We'll have to figure that out after we figure out what's wrong with the piston. So we'll start there. I'm gonna empty it, go back to the bench. Okay, here we go. Quick and easy way. First thing you're gonna do anytime you work on these is when it comes to the piston area, you're gonna have to take out the hose. So we're gonna get that out of the way. I don't like the stock hose clamps that come with these. They're plastic, they don't tend to last, so I put on these metal ones. One thing that you will have happen is this end. You can see it gets crimped pretty good and it'll tend to leak. I know this, can't do this too often. I like to cut off just that little bit of the hose. This one I might take about 1 inch off because it's kind of crimped, just to get a fresh new seal around the connector. So that'll help us for any leaking that's coming from there. Okay, once you got your hose off, next step is a flathead screwdriver right here. We're gonna take this screw out. This is a plastic retaining cup. I don't know what they call it. That's the technical term, plastic retaining cup. Basically, it sits around the base of the cylinder that the piston rides in. It has a screw that goes there and it keeps it tight so that this, because it has a slit in the back, so that this doesn't, open up around the seal of the piston. Next thing we'll do is you take your Allen wrench and you're gonna undo, if you can, undo your 2 Allen screws that are holding in your piston from the pump bar. And I'm gonna guess that when that piston comes out, it's just gonna be the plastic piston. So here's a piston with the seal on it. So you've got your two screws that go in here. They connect to the bar. Your piston has a swivel, and then this little rubber seal just kind of snaps on, and that's usually what pops off. So it has a little spring that holds it out so it gets a good seal, but that typically will fall off. So that's usually what the problem is, and I bet that that's what we're looking at here. Okay, so we get this out. You may have to push down on the plastic, and look at that, there's no seal. A pick, so I've got a angle pick. I'll just go up in there, find my seal that fell off. There it is. All right, we'll have guys that'll make fun of me about this. I have taken these and tried to glue them, epoxy them to the end of the piston. It doesn't really ever work, but one thing that does help is to put a little bit of grease just around this edge. One, so it slides well, and two, if it's sliding well, it's not going to be trying to pull it off of the end of your piston. So once you've got this put back together, you can slide it back in there. Push your plastic down, get it lined up, grab your bolts and your Allen. And you'll have to make sure that your bar is lined up. It may not be. There we go. Can put Loctite on these if you want to. I think they come when you buy new replacement Allen screws, they'll have a little bit of blue Loctite on them. As much as the guys over pump, I have to get in and work on these a lot, so I don't put any Loctite on them. I'll just check them every once in a while, make sure they're nice and tight. If these screws fall out, then it does cause issues, so you don't want the screws loose. So we'll snug those. And then you'll see that the pump bar just moves the piston up and down in that cylinder. And when you see the black line, that means that the seal's on it. Then we can put this back on. Basically, you got to spread this, and there's two little bumps here in the plastic of the cylinder that line up with these holes. So you snap them in there, put your screw back in, just snug that down. That's the pump. So now it should be pumping, which it is, but it's empty. And now we can address the hose portion of this one. So I'm going to put his hose back on. Where's my clamp? Okay. And then we're going to have to address this. So he's busted the handle off, which I have a bunch of busted handles here. I actually have a full drawer of them. You can see I've got handles and broken parts all over here. So I like to keep some of these, if they just don't work or they're leaking or cracked, I'll keep these parts because you never know when you're going to need them. But actually what I'll do on this one is I'll show you how to take this apart. So what we'll do is we'll pull the pin. There's a plastic pin right here. I'm just going to push it down on my vise. Pull your little pin out. And then your trigger just comes out. So it has a slot that sits on this, and then you have to make sure that your lock is not hung up. But so on this one, we're going to slide it in to position, and then we'll shove that pin in there. Pin's in. Hey, this one might actually work. A lot of times it's broken. So the way it works is that pushes down. You can lock it with the red clip. If it's got a good spring or pressure, then it's probably going to work. We'll take a look at it, but now we got to deal with this leaking right here. So I don't know why it's leaking. We could replace the hose or the handle itself. You can get a hose online. See, this is a brand new one. and you could replace it, but this hose isn't bad, so we're gonna try this. Just gonna throw some Teflon on this just so it doesn't leak. That looks better. Okay, so everything else on his is working. He's got a fairly new tip. We're gonna line that up a little bit better. And then we're gonna test it real quick. One thing that he did, I don't know why, but he took his handle off the top of his backpack. You'll see the next one we work on has a carry handle here. That connects through this pin and over these straps. This works, but it's not the way it was designed. Oh, it's pressuring up and leaking. So now we've got leaking still here. So that tells me we gotta deal with his hose, I guess. Took a risk with that hose and it was leaking. This hose is no good. I mean, I don't know why, but it's leaking. I do have another one here that looks like it's probably okay. It's not brand new, but on these non-repellent backpacks, I really don't like to put a brand new hose on there just because they don't use them as much. So they're gonna look like this after a couple of days anyway. Hose clamps are great, but you don't wanna go over tight because it'll just bend out the threads. All right, let's try it again. When you do these enough, you get sick of putting water in it, testing it, dumping it out, putting water in it, testing it, dumping it out. But you could put all new parts on it and that would solve it. But why get new parts if you can figure out which ones are actually bad and go from there? Hey, it's working. Oh no, we got another leak. All right, you guys, I don't know if you can see that, but it's spraying out right there. Test it, replace a part, test it, replace a part. So we got to do the handle. I'll show you that real quick. I'm guessing the reason why this failed is because he probably slammed it in his door or let it fall around in his truck, just not taking care of it. So he's actually cracked it, or it froze. Could be. He broke the handle off and he cracked it here. So we can get replacements. They look like this. And it's the whole assembly. I don't mess much with rebuilding them. Obviously I have a whole drawer of them that I could probably salvage a few out of it, but for 15 bucks, that's what you get. And then we'll just unscrew this. This is going in my drawer for later, which I probably will never do anything with except for steel parts. And then this one gets put on. You want to be careful not to cross thread. Aren't you glad this is just water and not product? Really, the majority of the problems with these is always going to be that piston or the wand handle, the trigger. Oh yeah, that's beautiful. It's working now. Okay, so the first one's taken care of. I'm going to dump it out, dry it, let the technician know he can have it now. Okay, the next backpack on the list. So here's the problem with these. Chance brought them out from his shop, and he has a bad habit of, if something breaks, just steal it off of another one and then worry about that problem later. So we'll start with this one. Okay, it looks like this one's probably going to be easy. This is actually a new handle, newer. Color's not faded or anything. Problem is it's pumping really easy and it's not building pressure. So it's going to be the same problem with all of these. So the first thing you do is take the hose off, get this cover off, take the piston out, and then see what's going on. So that's what we're going to do real quick.
Got drunk off your life.
Okay, so the moment of truth. Pop this out. Again, no seal. It's going to be the main problem every time. They really need to come up with a better way to secure this to the top of it. We're going to pop this back on. I'm going to throw a little bit of grease on it on the edge. Okay, so we'll put that back together, get the hose back on it, and we'll test it and see how well it works.
Say I make you nervous, a tragedy, I'm a beautiful disaster, a reckoning.
So the important thing on these is you got to keep them clean, and you got to make sure that you're not over pumping them, because that's what pops that seal off. And then junk and debris. So these are obviously dirty. I'm gonna have a conversation with Chance and his guys about that, but I think this one's gonna work now. So we'll throw some water to it and see what it does. It doesn't have a wand on it, but that's gonna work. Okay, we'll put a wand on this one. Okay, so I've got a wand. It's missing the tip and the filter, but we'll just put this on. You can buy these wands. They're about 10 or 11 bucks. It depends on where you get them. From Solo, I think they're $10, 10 something. So, okay, so we've got that on. Now we're gonna get a tip. So I've got filters that I buy from Solo. You can buy them other places, but I think they're about the same or cheaper. They're just these little darn strainers, and they sit in the collar. And then I've got a box of these plastic tips. They make metal tips for these too, but I like the plastic ones because they're cheap. So your little plastic flat band goes in your retaining nut, and then your strainer goes bubble towards where the flow's going or coming from. So it's going to poke out. The tendency with the technicians is to put them in backwards, because if you look at the back of this flat tip, it's got like an indentation, almost like that filter is supposed to go in there, but it's actually supposed to sit. It's actually supposed to sit like this, so that the filter catches anything going in that way. And then once you put it on your wand, so you'll screw that on there, something like that. So we're ready to test it. Actually, I'm gonna test it right here. Yep, she's spraying. So this one's done. I do have an issue here where they've tied the strap to the bottom. What it's supposed to have, it's supposed to have a clip on the bottom of the strap. So here's a new strap, and there's the clip that connects to that bar, and then they're able to shorten or lengthen there. These clips do break, but you can buy them, they're cheap. So what I'm gonna do is untie that and put a new clip on it, call it good. I like to keep a new one as reference so I can see how the strap goes through. Basically it doubles back over on itself, but you go around the bottom, back through the middle, and then underneath the strap itself, and then that's good. So this one, because they tied it, it's not laying flat, but it's not coming out. So we're good to clip this back on. Okay, so that one is ready to go. It's not perfect. We could replace all new parts, but when it works, it works. So this one's good to go. We'll look at the next one. I took the cap off. I'm gonna assume that they're all, oh no, this one feels like it's pumping. So it may have some different issues. It's missing a strap. Could be clogged. So same thing, we're gonna take off the hose, take off the cap. Well, maybe I won't. I'm not gonna get into the piston unless I know that's for sure a problem. So I'm gonna take off the hose and go from there first. I'm gonna assume our problem is trigger, hose, or something. So it looks like the main problem with this one is the hose and the wand were clogged. They stole the little elbow off the end and the tip, which isn't a problem. So this is good. I can see really good through that, so it's clear. This is clogged up. I'll show you how to do this. So with your trigger assembly, this is where the water is going to go, the product. It's coming from this end. What you want to do is reverse that. If you're trying to clear it out, is put your air chuck in the other end and then pull the trigger down. And then clear any debris that way. Ooh, that stinks. There's some junk in there. So that should be cleared out now. I did see some stuff fly. Now on your hose, there's several ways to clear it. You can use water pressure, you can run, they have these really small brushes that you can run up in there, but it's pretty long. So all I did on this one was I just ran water hose back through it and got it cleaned out. So it's flowing really good, it's clear. The tip is clear, the trigger's clear, so we'll just start putting it back together. I do not have any more of those 45-degree angles. I've got some coming, so I can't completely put this one together, but it'll be ready to go and we can test it at least. So here we go. There is an O-ring when you put these together that helps seal it. Make sure that O-ring's on there. There's also an O-ring on the end of your hose right here that connects with this. So you are going to want to make sure that that's screwed on tight and not cross-threaded. Then we can hook it back up and put this one to a test. We didn't get into the piston on this one. I may regret that, but we're going to test it the way it is and see what we've got. Because it feels like it's pumping, like it's generating pressure. So I think it was just clogged. Yeah, that tank is filthy. That's embarrassing that they brought that to me that way. It's missing a strap too, so we'll fix that. The tendency on these things is for this bar to sag and break as the guys kind of push against them. I like to just bend them back so they're nice and straight and standing up. Yeah, it sounds like it's building pressure fine. Feels good. Let's see. Yeah, it's looking okay. We'll know when we get the tip on the end how much it actually fan sprays. Okay, here's what I've got. This one's missing a strap. This strap is pretty ratty, but it's got a little bit of life left in it, not much. The first backpack I fixed has got one that's really pretty decent and then one that's kind of ratty. This is the one that I put the new end on. I think I'm going to take that one and put it on this so that they match, and then I'm going to put a new one. Got a brand new strap here. I'll put that one on here. That way at least they're similar, because you don't want to put a brand new strap with a really old nasty one. So this one stays. Basically what you do is this is a plastic pin that just has a wide piece right here. You just squeeze it and push it back. So this is what the pin looks like. This one's kind of wore out, but it's got this little hat on it that you got to squeeze the top to get it to come out. That pin came all the way out, but this one we can leave just the way it is. You want to make sure your label's out. Hook your strap on that pin and then push it back through. And then it's easy on the bottom. You just take your clip, hook it around the bottom bar, clips on. So there's two kind of older straps. Now we'll put a good one on this one. So this one, pin came completely out. So you start your pin, put your new strap around the pin. Make sure you don't pinch it. And then just feed it through. A little bit of persuasion. Done. And then this one, take your clip and hook it on the bottom. Beautiful. Okay, all 3 backpacks are done. The black one that we did first, the second one that we did, and it's got new straps, and then the back one is just missing the angle piece and the tip, which we'll put on as soon as those parts come in. But the backpacks are simple. I mean, they're not that expensive. Brand new, they're 60, 70 bucks. So you can't expect that they're gonna last through abuse. But for the most part, we've had these, they're probably 5, 6, 7 years old, depending on which ones, and they work. So we've got them pumping again. Your major problem is the top coming off the piston. That's usually what you're gonna face with these. But you can order all the parts that you need. You're gonna want a couple of trigger handles, spray tips, and maybe straps. You can even order a piston with the thing on the end, the seal on the end. And that's what I usually do. I'll swap it out and then I'll let the other one clean it off, get it ready for the next one. That way I'm ready to go. But these are done. Hey, it's getting warm out. The bugs are moving. We've seen them. We're seeing ants. We're seeing everything. So if you haven't already, get yourself a Liquid Death Solutions kit. I'll put a link. I think it's over here. No, it's over here. I don't know. I'll put a link for the website. You guys go grab one of those. That really helps us out. We appreciate it. Do it yourself. Instructions will be in a video. It's awesome. Stuff works great. It's the same stuff our guys use. So pick yourself up one today. Help support us. We appreciate you guys. And if you have questions or comments about solo backpacks, let me know. Put them in the comments and I'll try to work on whatever problem you guys are dealing with. But that's going to be it for today. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys on the next one.